1. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to Ed Talk TV, conversations worth having. I hope you are having a fantastic day and that your weekend was good. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If you're catching the replay, awesome. We love that. Be sure to hop into the comments and give some comments, some love. Don't just give a like, go past that. Go ahead and give some shares as well. Just checking the audio there and the video. Cool. So, let me give you a little info about the show while you're tuning in and getting settled here. Ed Talk TV is all about the conversations that are worth having. That talks about business, tech, the user experience, all that fun stuff. I bring people onto the show. I have guests onto the show like we'll have today in a little bit. I'll bring one on. And you could be a guest if you like as well. You don't have to have X amount of followers or all this crazy, requirements. Really, you just have to have a reason why you want to be on the show. And you can do that over at checkwithed.com afterwards. There's a link called a Facebook live show that gives you details about the show and a request form to become a guest, which is awesome because why would you want to be a guest? Well, you get to share your knowledge, your expertise with the world and with me. And we get to connect and build our relationships, our communities get to connect. So it's a really unique opportunity and you don't want to miss out. It's just one of those fun things. So keep that in mind. You can always do that afterwards. I encourage you throughout the show, and you'll hear me say it, to comment and engage not only with me, my guests, but also each other, because you never know who's going to catch the replay and browse through the comments. It only takes one person to follow up with you and say, hey, I like you. I noticed you in the comments and I like you. I want to connect with you. And then that leads to services and offerings and other things down the line, right? So that's what this show is about, is just building those relationships that are going to last over time. We're not worried about the numbers. We're not worried about a sale today. We're worried about the relationships over time. So keep that in mind. Share this out. Show some love for that. If you see me drop my head down, it's because I have my phone so that I can check in on you guys. Like, Tammy is here. I love it. We have some regulars that show up every day because we go live Monday through Friday. And let me just tell you, you guys are awesome and you guys make this happen. Like, everyone I talk to says, you're going live 5 days a week. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a big goal, but it's been working. And they're just amazed, and it's fun. Like you get addicted to it. But if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be here. So shout outs to you. Last week, just to recap, if you missed any of the episodes, you can always go to checkwithed.com, and on that Facebook Live show tab, you can catch all of the replays. It's cleaner than looking for them on Facebook, and it's less distractions, right? Let me bring this over. Look at that, Tammy. There we go. So real quick, too, just so you know what kind of technology we're working with here, because we got a lot going on. I'm able to bring on your comments onto the screen, which is why I encourage you to comment as well, because I'm using a special program for Mac that allows me to do that called Ecamm. What's cool about that is it allows me to do quite a bit of different things. Right now, we're actually, I created this banner down here, and this logo right there, which I actually have a paid live training separate from Facebook. It won't be a Facebook Live because this is a paid training that I will actually do on Wednesday. So I'm super excited. I'll drop that in the comments right now before I forget, because then I can pin the post there. And so that's in the comments. If you're curious about it, you want to learn more, or if you want to sign up, there's still time. But that will be a separate training off of Facebook. It will be about Facebook and the new Creator app and how you can get fancy with this and the intro and outro videos. But I just won't be doing it live here on Facebook. So there's that info. But back to the technology that I'm using. We're able to do, Whitney, thank you so much for your share. I appreciate it. And we'll talk more about Whitney in a second here too. So what we're using is this whole setup, right? Now, this is fancy, okay? I don't want you to come out of the gate thinking, oh my gosh, how am I gonna be like Ed? How am I gonna get this show off and running? I need all this equipment. I need this fancy camera. No, you don't. All you need is your phone to get started. You need an idea. You need your topic, 3 talking points, and go live. That's all you need. And so that's why I like to give you an overview of the tech that I'm using. So with the program, I'm also able to do screen sharing, which we'll see in a minute. And then I'm also able to bring on guests via Skype. Well, the Skype part has been a little weird last week, so with the audio, for you guys at least on your end. So what I did was I got tech savvy with it, and you're going to see that here in a few minutes, where I'm actually using Zoom and tying it all in together. So I'll kind of explain that again if you missed out on last week's episode where I talked about that. But first, what I want to do before I get too far into this is I want to give a shout out to Whitney, because she went above and beyond our homework last week. Yes, there's homework on this show. So what happened was last week we talked about being able to, sorry, I'm looking at my screen there. Last week we were able to go through and pull up a couple different episodes. One episode was with Jerisha Hawk, which you don't want to miss that one, so you want to check that out, where we gave everyone a homework assignment. And really, we wanted you to just, within 24 hours, go live, talk about whatever it is that you want to do. And Whitney went above and beyond with that. She did the homework exactly. Here, I'm going to put her on screen so you guys can see. She did the homework. She did her live. She also tagged Jerisha and I on there, which is awesome, so we could watch it. I'm actually going to play just a small portion of it, because the message is good, and the message is what we talk about a lot on here. Hey, April, my dog ate my homework. Yeah, see, there's no excuse for not doing the homework here, because it's all digital. It's all technology. So unless your dog ate your phone, right, you got to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just give you a quick snippet of Whitney's live, because she did the homework, and her message is good, and it's all about putting yourself out there and just showing up and delivering. Or in this case, running, I want to make sure I get the correct, run your race. On your mark, get set, go. So let me go ahead and switch this over. And yep, Whitney, you should be proud of this. I'm very proud of you, and I'm really glad that you shared this with us. And I hope that you'll be happy about this too. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to go ahead and play just a small portion of this. Thank you, Eddie, for sharing. I appreciate that. You guys keep up in the comments here. But I'm going to play just a small portion of this.
As it relates to gifts and creativity, when I look at it with entrepreneurs and starting their business, it mainly makes me think about stepping up and stepping out. Stop hiding your gifts and creativity. Stop hiding your talents. You want to make sure you step into the light. Get ready to take your rightful place where you're designed to be.
And I'm going to pause there just because I'm giving my computer a lot to work with there. But that is what we're talking about there, is really, whoa, did you guys see that? I kind of like bounced around real quick there. So that's what I'm talking about, is just being able to go through and just go live, just do something and go from there. How are you bringing the audio into your show through the screen share? Oh, great question, April. That actually is just part of screen share. It's just an awesome feature built in, so it pulls through there. So yes, Whitney, I'll drop that link in there. Otherwise, no, Whitney, if you want later, you can drop the link to that video, share it in there, because I want people to watch the whole thing, for those who want to, because it's a great message, and you just went out there. You just did it, right? You showed up, you delivered, and then you engaged, which was perfect. So that's what I want you guys to always remember. That's the big thing about this show, is show up, deliver, and engage with each other. That's what it's about. There we go. See? And supporting. Look at Tammy's supporting. I love it. And she is a rock star. You guys are all rock stars. You can do this. You just have to give it a shot. You just have to start. So Whitney says, thanks. Perfect. So now, before I bring on our guests, let me explain a little bit about this tech, as you kind of already can guess and see there, is I'm doing a lot on my computer here. So the audio should be good. The video might lag a little bit, and that's okay, because, hey, we're kind of going above and beyond the tech here. The technology is trying to keep up with, where we're at here. and where my head is at. So, we're kind of in the future going here. Hey, Jane, welcome. Look at April saying hi to you as well. I love it. So bear with the any kind of delays in the video, but the audio should be crisp and clear. So I'm going to go ahead and transition over to my screen because remember I told you that we were having issues with Skype, which is outside of my expertise. So I had to change things around and kind of play around with this screen share to bring you Zoom so that we can have our guests still come on air and we can still make all of this happen. So let me go ahead and switch this over. Am I using Ecamm right now? Yes, April. This is Ecamm. This is Ecamm Live mixed with Ed Live. Like that's what I'm just gonna say is, this is where I get creative and have fun with it. And then this next part is actually gonna be really fun. So let me switch over to my screen and then I'll unmute our guest and then I'll kind of explain and then I'll have our guests introduce themselves. So let me go ahead and switch over and give me a second here to unmute. I told you guys that we're doing crazy stuff. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. All right. So before I have you introduce yourself, I just want to explain to everyone what's going on here on the screen. And you guys, this is where it gets crazy. This is where you have to think outside the box, okay? So what you're seeing on my screen, well, let me actually get rid of these. So what you're seeing on my screen is I actually put my logo and my, let me get this out of the way. I put my logo and the bottom bar here on my desktop as a background image. Pretty crazy, right? I made it so that it looks almost like what you saw in the previous screen. And then, April, Ed is a live stream ninja. I'm telling you, you give me just a little bit and I can run with it. I just need to start, right? And then I can take my creativity and run with it, you guys. This is why, everyone, this is why they pay me the big bucks, okay? So I made it look like my screen because I wanted to be able to bring guests on. And since the technology it's getting there, but it's not there yet, you have to improvise. And thankfully, with Ecamm and my brain, we were able to make it work and be able to do screen share and have this option. So that's what you're seeing here. That's why I mentioned there might be a little bit of a video lag, but audio should be good, which, let's face it, as long as audio is good, that's all we need. So anyway, enough from me. Let me have my guest introduce herself, and then we will jump into today's content. So the floor is yours. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Ed. I just want to say a massive amen after all of that, because I was over here like, yes, nailed it. It's amazing to see you have like found your thing and you're like running with it. This is so like crystal clear. I just love it. I love it. So
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. And you're like smiling like a kid in a candy shop. It's just so funny.
I really am, you guys. This is like, when people tell me, like, Ed, you're going 5 days a week live, are you crazy? Yeah, but you know what? That's kind of how my life is. Go big or go home. And if I'm going to do it, I might as well do as much as I can and then see what happens. It's all about testing.
Yeah.
So go ahead and introduce yourself so people know who you are.
Sure. I'm always really bad at this part, so I'll take a stab at it. My name is Joanna, and I am a community manager. I've been around communities and found out that that's really my passion, and I love doing it. So I've just been hanging out in people's groups. So I'm a professional groupie is actually what I do.
I love that. That is awesome.
Yeah. So I currently run a Facebook group with my partner, Jessica, and we are the Community Queens. And Jessica and I found each other, oddly enough, both on the same team managing a community. And we decided that we both really liked it. And so we teamed up and we're teaching people how to grow an engaged group, not just grow a group. which we can dive into.
Yes, and that's huge. For those just tuning in or watching the replay, we've been talking about that a lot, and you're going to hear this over and over, that it is about that engagement. And thankfully, we're seeing that now from the top down, right? And what I mean by the top down is Facebook is making those changes to the algorithm. Everyone is freaking out about it, but listen, it's good because they're finally on board with understanding that what we're doing right now is what should have been going on forever. It's what social media started out as. Join the conversation on Facebook, on Twitter. But then somehow it got way off track and it was all about let's just promote and try to sell. And now they realize it doesn't work like that. It works by building relationships. And you have to put in the work. And yes, it takes time, but it's going to last longer. So just keep that in mind. Let me go ahead and pull this off. So community management. Now, how did you come across that? Like, how did you realize that was the thing that you wanted to pursue? And then we can kind of jump into like what you do and what that's all about.
Yeah, I was working as a VA for one of my clients, and she ended up moving me over to manage a Facebook group. And at first it was just letting people in, doing simple things like that. And then slowly I kind of just grew into it and then learned what long-term relationships mean, learned how to support people through a Facebook group. And most of all, this is so huge for me, is I learned how to support transformations in groups. Yes. And after I saw the first transformation of somebody joining the group and then watching them over time evolve into this person, this group was about sales funnels. And some of these people would come in and they wouldn't even know what a lead magnet was. By the end of their time there, they were building funnels out for people. And it's just like crazy to think like you came here and didn't even know ABC and now you're an all-star. That transformation to me is so powerful and it gives me energy. So after getting like those over and over again, I was like, this is amazing. It's, I can't even describe it. I mean, that's how good it feels to see people transform and to know that you had a hand in it. Yeah. So that's kind of why I've been sticking around community management.
I love that. And you guys can answer in the comments, even watching the replay, but, is that something that you want to see in whatever you're doing, right? Do you want to see that transformation? Do you want to be a part of that transformation? And it's okay if you say no. I mean, everyone's going to have different answers, and you can expand on that. But really, it's that part of the puzzle that really takes you and everyone around you to the next level, right? Teamwork equals success. And so being able to really go through those steps and go through that transformation for yourself or for anybody else is huge. And that's when you can find out what you're really passionate about and maybe what you're not so passionate about and what you can then delegate to somebody else if you have to still do it. And for those who don't know what a VA is, that's a virtual assistant. So I just like to explain sometimes those little things because I know we're trying to break everything down because there's so many different terms out there.
Right.
So now you have this group, and well, let me back up. So you said you have your own group though, right?
Correct.
Okay. So what was your motive for starting the group, and kind of what do you do in that group?
So the group is still new. We decided that we're going to build the group live in front of people. So
nice.
We weren't planning to like build it and then load it with a bunch of content. So that way when people joined, it wasn't like naked. We started off naked. Like we didn't have any posts in there. We didn't have any schedule going. There was no content. Jessica and I just knew that we needed to have the group. So, I attended an Instagram summit, and this is like, when people ask me advice about groups, this is like one of the biggest pieces you can give people.
Love it.
When I was at an Instagram summit, this lady, he said, what's the one piece of advice you can give for people? And she said, start your Instagram.
Yes.
Because people come up to her all the time and want Instagram advice, and she's like, well, show me your profile and let's go over it. And they're like, oh, I didn't make it yet. So when she and I were trying to get all this content out, we were blocking. We were like, we got to do the lead magnet and the this and the that. And we were like, our home is in a group. So I'm going to take that advice of just start your Instagram. And that's my first piece of advice for people. If they ask me questions about groups, I'm like, do you have a group? And it's actually a 50-50 split. Some people don't start groups because they feel like they need to gather that information first. And they're not just starting it and experimenting. And it's all experimenting. You're never going to nail it before you start the group. So we took a dose of our own medicine and said, we're just going to start the group. So we started the group. And we'll break down a couple of these things, but we're very conscious about who we let into that group.
Yeah.
We're taking a step back since we had the big algorithm change. We're taking a step back and we're thinking about like how we're going to move forward as far as content.
Sure.
But yeah, we're 2 months old. So we started putting tips on there, which had turned into our lead magnet.
Okay.
So if people are having a hard time developing lead magnets, then what they can do is just kind of like put their thoughts out into their group, and then you go back and collect it. So we did an advent calendar. So we did 24 tips, and then now we can take those 24 tips and make a tip sheet, and we have our lead magnet. So the group started because we were just stuck. We were getting on Zoom meetings once a week for 2 months, and we were like, let's just start the group. So that's how we did it.
See, and that's the beauty of it. I love the fact that you mentioned that you just have to start, but then you also mentioned the part where if you don't have anything like the Instagram profile, if you don't have an Instagram profile, or in this case, a Facebook group, or a business page, or a website, you guys know I love websites. I help you build them, and I want you to focus on having something that you can take people back to. I want you to realize that you have to start with something, even if you're not the expert in it, even if if you can't afford to hire somebody to help you with whatever it is, just starting with the basics and your mind knowing that it's going to get better and that you're going to move up with whatever upgrades you can afford or can change or can learn or whatever. Just know that if you can just start, because, again, like Joanna said, if you want help with your Instagram, or you want help with your Facebook group, or you want help with your website, but you don't have anything to show, well, it's kind of hard to help with that. Granted, it depends on your situation, because obviously if you're just starting out and let's say you have all these ideas ready to go, then you need to meet with someone to strategize. I get that. But in this case, it's like, just test it. With Facebook groups and pages, those are free. It doesn't cost you anything to just start one. And Facebook makes it easy for you to create something. Now, I'm not saying go create a Facebook page and a group right this minute without a plan. Like, that's not what we're saying. But understand that, you want to have an idea and kind of play with it and see what happens.
Yeah.
So you started this group and you're testing with it. And now what's the next steps for it? Or where do you guys feel like it's starting to go with that?
Yeah. So what we're finding from doing multiple audits, we're finding that, and this hits really hard on the algorithm change.
Yeah. Because
groups are going to be favored, right? So we've already been told friends, family groups are going to be favored. That's not an automatic ticket to the newsfeed, because you have to think about how many groups people are actually in. Sometimes people are in 200-300 groups. And they may not even know that they're in a lot of those. Yeah. So it's not like you have immediate access to the news feed, because now you have to battle with the other groups, the friends and the family.
Right.
So what we're finding is that if you want success in your group, you have to create an experience. You have to provide a journey. you have to provide some sort of point A to point B.
Yep.
Otherwise, what are you actually doing in there? Because if you think about why do people have groups? One reason is to connect with people. The other reason is to move from point A to point B. Or it could be a combination of both. So if you're not connecting people and you're not providing a way to move from point A to point B, then your group dies. You don't win space in the newsfeed because nobody's connecting and engaging in that group.
Right.
So the easiest way to do that is to create an experience. So let's say somebody has a hobby, because hobby groups are hard. When you're starting out, they're very hard to grow. You might have like those big influencers, like let's say knitters. I knit.
Yep.
I know that there's some people that have like the 20K, 30K groups. But if you want your own knitting group, then you have to figure out what's your story with knitting. And how are you going to help people experience knitting in a different way than that other group is? And I just want to say right now that smaller groups are sexier to me than bigger groups.
Oh, yeah.
And the engagement is going to show up on that. Because when you have think about if you're having a house party.
Right.
If you have 5 people over at your house, it's very warm and intimate.
Yep.
If you have 10,000 people over at your house, how many real, deep, genuine connections are you going to make? Exactly. That's the same thing as a group. Just because you have 10,000 there doesn't guarantee anything.
Exactly.
You might make 5 sales out of that, but I could have a group of 5 people that we weave in and out of everything, form a deep connection, and all 5, I close the sale.
Yep, and that's huge, you guys. And I can see in the comments, we do have a couple people that do have groups already, which is awesome. If you're watching the replay, let us know as well. And feel free, too, afterwards, to even share a link to your group if you want. Here's the catch. You can't just drop a link, though. You have to drop the link and give us a little info, like a sentence or two about the group. Like, what do you talk about in there? What's that experience going to be like? The reason I do that is because it helps everyone, right? It helps you practice giving more than just a link, because we talk about this a lot. Lots of Facebook groups have promo days, which are awesome, and you can take advantage of them. But I want you to make sure that you utilize them the best you can, which means not just dropping a link, but giving them just a little extra. Because, again, if you have a link there, you're just like everyone else dropping a link. But if you provide a little statement of your why, your experience, whatever you want to call it, then that intrigues people to go a little bit more into, oh, I think I'll click on this just to see what will happen. So keep that in mind for your groups, for your pages, for your website, whatever it is. Modify my words there for whatever project you have, but give a little extra there. And again, we've talked about this before, but when it comes to pretty much anything you do, storytelling is what you need to have in your business. And part of that is providing the experience. Like, that's why we talk about user experience all the time. For instance, I have all these little things like off to the side that I take because I'll talk about them on the show. But here is a random thing. And I'm not like a hoarder at all. These are just a couple items that I saved because of branding and stuff. But, I got some new towels for Christmas. So I kept this packaging only because it is clean, it's simple, it talks about quick dry, but then it also has the 3 main things on there, which they think are the 3 main things, I guess. 100% cotton, highly absorbent, and quick dry. Quick to the point, you know what you're getting. This is kind of a little tangent, but I just want you to know that it's that experience that you're providing through your messaging, through your branding, through your profile page, your about section, all of that. Anyway, there's my little tangent for us.
Yeah, love it.
Let's see. Tammy says, I have a group, but it's new, and it hasn't been a great experience. Okay. I'm wanting to build up my business page. Yes. So I will say, and again, this can change at any minute, you guys. Any minute for anybody. But I will tell you, that my business page, I am very proud of right now because of the work that I've put into it, the work that you guys are putting into it, because you're coming for the experience. You're coming for all of this, like all of this. And so that is amazing. And that is what is only going to grow our community more. And I say our community because I may have built this page and I may be the one who starts the conversation on this page, but it only works if we all participate like you are right now in the comments, even if you're watching the replay. So keep that in mind and take that mindset with you into your communities, into your business page. Again, you have to be able to focus on something like your page, or in this case, your group, and actually focus on it. You can't just set it up and expect everyone to show up. I've been reading a lot of posts lately for people concerned about, their pages, and most of them will sound like, how do I get more likes and follows? Or how do I get more people to engage on my page? Which the second one is a little bit more legit than the first one. But it's really about looking at what experience are you providing? Are you asking questions to find out what the answers are, to listen to the people that are following your page? Let's go back even a little bit further and ask yourself, are you promoting your page, or in this case your group, for a like and a follow, or for the experience? Because there's a difference. There's a reason why I don't say just like and follow my page. I always say check the content first before you like and follow my page, and if it works for you, then like and follow it, and then engage with it. Because I'm not about all these likes. Those numbers mean nothing to me if nobody's here to engage, and if nobody's here to hang out with me, right? Because then it's just me talking by myself. So, and obviously we can only entertain ourselves for too long, right? So anyway, that was my side story kind of tied in there for us. Back to you. So what about communities? What can we start doing, or what are some tips that you have for us?
Yeah, so I kind of want to address what Tammy said because it comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Groups can be nightmares. Very much so. So it really, people underestimate how much time and energy it takes out of you. And so in this instance, we're talking about free groups, right? Because it's a whole nother ballgame when you're talking about paid groups.
Yeah.
In free groups, people do what they want. We're a virtual world, so etiquette that would normally apply in person doesn't apply online. People breeze right through it. There's a lot of people that are out for themselves. Weird things happen in groups. I don't know. So it's not a magic bullet.
Right.
It's not something that's going to fix all your problems or bring in all the sales. It's a long-term thing, which you had mentioned that earlier. But this is a long-term commitment, and I think that some people don't consider their groups as part of a funnel.
Right.
And I think when you consider where they're interacting with you in the funnel, so if it's a free group, you're probably, at the top of the funnel.
Yep.
And then a paid group, you're in the middle, or at the bottom, whichever. But if you know where you are in the funnel, then you know how to move the people that are your ideal people, to move them into the next level.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them, you remove them because they'll drain your energy.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing too. And again, it goes with that that thinking of what's the plan? Like what
Exactly, yeah.
What are you setting this up for? You're creating a group, but what's the point? Like, this is what I don't want you guys to do. Okay, for those who don't have a group yet, I do not want you to go create a group for the sake of creating a group in hopes that you're going to get seen in the newsfeed more. That is not what you want to do, because that's not going to work. And then you're going to be back at square one asking yourself, Why is my group not working? Same thing with your page. You have to find what works for you, and the only way you're going to find that is by testing things and starting with, a small group maybe. I mean, how many people are in your group? Do you want to disclose in your...
Sure, we're at 43 right now.
Perfect. So, you guys, 43, that's a lot if you're just getting started, right? I mean, that's a big number, especially for some of you who might be just starting. Hey, Anna, you might be thinking, okay, I just want to start a group. I'm not 100% sure what. So brainstorm, start your group, maybe invite a couple of your friends with their permission, ask a couple people to join your group, and kind of be able to bounce the ideas off of them. And of course, I'm just throwing this out there, Joanna. You can jump in a minute and share your tips too. But that's how you can kind of start to just have those baby steps and just kind of play. For instance, I have there's a group to my page here, which we'll talk about in a minute. But there's a group that, for me, the whole point of it wasn't to be super engaged in it. Meaning, I don't show up every single day and spend a ton of time in there and engage with everyone. That's not what the group was set up for. The group was set up for me to be able to share some tips and tools that I don't necessarily post here on the page, but I want to still provide to people. So that's kind of where I put it. So that's kind of my funnel, right? The page here is my storefront window where we go live. We have the show. That's the main thing on this page. And then sometimes I'll pop in other videos on the weekend and stuff. Then there's the group, which is just whatever comes to mind, and I see something I'll share in there, and then I encourage them to do the same as well. But it's not a huge activity in there, which is fine. And then I'll be working on another group that actually is part of another plan of mine that will have a little bit more engagement built into it going from the start. So you have to have those expectations and those that mindset ahead of time. So anyway, I'll let you go ahead and jump in there too. Success is a marathon. So is, Jane.
Yeah, so I want to go back to adding friends in because
yes. That's a big one.
Another thing that comes up a lot is that people will say, oh, I have 250 people on there, but 150 of them are my friends and my family. Well, that's why people aren't engaging in your group, because they joined your group out of courtesy. They didn't join it because it was something they were truly interested in. When Jessica and I launched our group, we put up one post and we invited people to come to the group, and we got 2 people out of it. And then after that, we don't shove it down people's throats, because it's actually on my Facebook page now, so you can see it on my page.
Yeah.
But you want to find people who are down for your message and who like your vibe, who just want more from you. You don't want to put people in there who don't really care and they're there to be nice.
Right.
So we've collected those 43 people just from them being interested in us, and in return, we get an engaged community.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother us that we're at 43 members, because I know that my 43 members are listening to what I have to say. And that's huge, right?
Yep.
It's another reason why Facebook's going to punish you, because if you put up a post and nobody's responding to it and you have 10,000 people, then, how does that look? Versus me, if I have only 43, but I have 43 people engaged. So you want to be selective with who you let in your group. This is not just about you going out and jacking up your numbers, which is what people think they have to do. They think that a higher group number means more success, but it doesn't.
And it's so true.
Selective.
So true. And that's why you guys don't worry about the numbers. The numbers will come.
Absolutely not.
Later. That's not what you're supposed to be worried about. What you're supposed to be worried about is actually engaging. If only one person shows up, that's awesome. If they show up and engage, that's all that matters. I'd rather have one person show up and engage than 50, 100, 200, 1,000 people in my group or on my page, right? And like I tell you, comment like you're doing right now, even if you're watching the replay, because guess what? It just takes that one person to discover you and to see what you have to offer, and it takes you to the next level. That's why Facebook is trying to make it so that you engage more, because they realize people aren't about having all the sales shoved down their throat. They realize that we're human, and because we're online more, we need to act human online as well. So it's not rocket science, it's just a shift. I'm just catching up on the comments here. So I hear we have some exercises that we want to do, which we're not going to be stretching here, guys. I mean, you can stretch if you want, depending on where you're at. I didn't get to the gym today. Well, I did get to the gym, but after getting there, they decided that they needed to have maintenance, so they decided to close the gym for 2 hours right after I got there. So I didn't get to work out today, but Joanna has an exercise that she wants to share with us, and I don't know if you have something before that, but we'll jump into that, and you guys can kind of see what we're talking about here. So I'll let you take it over from here.
Yeah, I just had one more thing that I wanted to say, which
please.
was about, with Jessica and I, we're actually not ready for a group of 10,000 people because we haven't found our voice.
Yep.
We're getting there. But when you get into your group, you have to find who you are in front of your audience. Yeah. And if you think about public speaking, you start at like a Toastmasters meeting, which is like 5 or 6 other people, right?
Right.
That you're practicing in front of. And then you move on to bigger groups and speaking engagements, and then you move on to booking the arenas, you know? But there's no way that I could go from here right now to speaking in front of an arena if I didn't practice in front of those different sizes of audiences.
Exactly.
So in your group, you're going to see a shift for every 100 members that you bring in. The dynamic of your group is going to switch. And you have to learn how to manage that switch at each 100 members. You can't skip that. You can't just jump to 3,000, 5,000. I mean, up to that point, you found your voice. That's when you're like super taking off, right?
Sure.
But you found your voice. You know your systems. You have your group. But you can't go from 5 members to 5,000. You have to grow and adjust through that process.
Sure.
And then when you get to the big groups, you're confident in who you are and you know what you're doing, because people will come in and try to overrun your group. They will question your authority to get attention or for whatever reason, and you have to be confident in front of those 10,000 people to say, actually, sweetie, I know what I'm talking about, and this is my group. But if you didn't learn those hard lessons at 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people, then at 10,000, you don't have what it takes to run and manage that group.
So true. It's those baby steps that we all have to go through, because you have to find your voice and you have to see what works. You know, case in point right here, you guys, this show is awesome for me. As you saw, like I light up with this, and it's not because I have all these lights right here, but also it's more importantly because this is like easier for me to do this than it is to sit there and blog. Like, I don't mind writing, but to sit down and blog and try to be frequent with that, it's hard for me. But guess what? Doing this, I get a blog post every single day of the week. No problem. Like, this is easy for me. So you have to find what works for you, and knowing that you have to go through testing to see what works, because going live every day for me works, but for you it may not. Maybe you only go live once a week because your schedule or the way that you want to present your material, whatever. So just keep that in mind, that I don't want you to get stuck in that comparison game for too long. You're going to compare yourself with others. That's human nature. But realize that you have to give it a try and see what's going to work for you. Yeah, Jane says blogging for her.
I also think, like, a random note onto that, it's so much harder being in the online space because there's so many different things that you're like, their website's better than mine, their group's bigger than mine, their revenue's higher than mine, their logo's better than mine. I mean, there's so many different things that you can get sidetracked with.
And the number one that I always hear is they have so many followers. You guys, like you've heard already, the numbers don't matter. And I will give you this, probably, I don't even know. You tell me in the comments, excuse me, if you've heard this before or not. But especially on Instagram, it happens on Facebook too, but I think it's more on Instagram than anywhere else, is those numbers are false advertising. I guarantee you that when you see those hundreds of thousands of millions of followers, I guarantee you there is a huge lump sum of those that are either fake accounts, bots, or no longer accounts, but they're just there. It's sad, but it's true. So please don't compare yourself too much to other people's followers. Like, forget all of that and just show up and deliver and engage. Those are the 3 things that you need to do, because once you get past that, then you stop wasting your time worrying about those vanity metrics, which are those numbers of followers and those number of likes. And then you get to the real business, where it's you being you, delivering the content that you have, and watching people start to come to you over time. So are we ready for our exercise?
We are ready. Okay, so I wanted to give a little bit of backstory about why we're doing this and what it has to do with groups.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I discovered as a community manager is that when you are able to mirror the emotions of the group member, which is basically empathy, right?
Yep.
You're able to feel the emotions of the other person. They become attached to you because it's like, oh, you understood what I was saying in that post. I always say likes are lazy, and it's funny because you brought that up at the beginning. You're like, go beyond that.
Yep.
Likes are the minimum that people should be doing. So you should be liking all the posts in your group.
Sorry, that little action, since the bar's a little further down for you guys to note, that's for you to go past the like option and do the emotions, because here's another fun fact. Facebook is making sure that those emotions start moving higher up in the newsfeed because they're going past the like. So of course there's a time and a place for likes, but you really want to try to start using those emotions, those emojis, because that's going to help as well. Just FYI.
Yeah.
All right, so I am pulling up my group, assuming that you want me to go there already.
Yes, I saw the post already. So what we're going to do is a sales technique. It's called matching and mirroring, and it's when they tell you to use the language of the other person, so that way you connect with them faster. So we're going to show you how you can do that using the reaction button, using GIFs, and in the comments.
Perfect. And good to go with sharing my screen?
Yep.
All right. So, you guys, this should pop up there. So, just to give you a little background where we're at, this is that group I was mentioning to you guys that's attached to my page. It's super simple. It's nothing crazy. But these are the 2 posts that we're going to be discussing here. So, Joanna, go ahead and take it from there.
Okay, so I'm looking at the post on my end, but it's up on the screen, right?
Yep, correct.
Okay, so which one are you looking at? Are you looking at the...
I have both of them on the screen, so we can look at whichever positive or sad one you want to go with.
Okay, let's do positive, because I have
Okay.
positive up.
Perfect.
Okay, so Ed put a post up. Let's assume for 1 second that this is my group. So Ed pops into the group and says, my live paid training on the Facebook Creator app and going live on Facebook Basics is selling like crazy. So the emotion here is going to be excitement. So what I want to do is, well, first of all, I want to show what it looks like when I just hit the like button. So there, like. So let's show the difference when we use the happy one. So that would be the heart. So that's what it looks like when you do the heart. Then you can go into the GIF button, and you would want to do anything that's like happy or excited. So I'll find one. I don't have any evidence to back this up, but when I use GIFs, engagement is always higher.
Yep.
So even, this might be lame, but when I post things, I write the first comment and put a GIF. And I don't actually know if it helps, but I always get faster responses when I post a GIF than when I don't.
Yeah, and keep in mind, you guys, a GIF, it's a video technically, so that also helps, and it's creating engagement, right? Because it's some kind of an emotion that you're going to react to and that the other person's going to react to. So it makes sense that it helps, and which is why we've gotten so excited about GIFs. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Okay, so I responded back with a GIF, and I typed in excited to find that one. And then also, so I've gotten really into like just jazzing up people's posts. So I will put a GIF and I will put a comment. So I have a heart, a GIF, and a comment. So you can do a combination of 1, 2, or all of these. But if it's something huge like this, where I know you've been working hard and that's something that you're succeeding, I want to celebrate with you because we're talking about, number one, the experience, right?
Yep.
So I want you to know that when you have a big win, this is the group that you can come and brag about it in, because we're also going through that transformation with you. So we've seen you starting off, and then now we're seeing it pay off, and we want to, as a community, celebrate that with you together. So I'll put a GIF, and then if you want to do a comment, we can do like congrats, because Facebook, if you do congrats, they have those little graphics coming out of it.
Oh, right.
So, and then I put some party emojis on it. So as soon as they see it, balloons are going to be popping up. There's a GIF there. There's a love reaction. And then I have party emojis. So I actually am like overexcited for other people. I feel like I get more excited for people's wins than they are. But I will really go all out on people's posts like this. And how does that make you feel, Ed, when you see somebody give you that reaction versus hitting the like button?
Oh, it totally takes us to the next level. I mean, this is what creates that engagement. You know, I've already responded yes to the excited face. I forget his name, but the gift image, and it's like that takes it past the like. Because remember, you guys, a like doesn't mean anything, in my opinion. I mean, it's like, oh, cool, somebody saw this, maybe. But a like doesn't tell me, was it good, was it bad? Did you learn something or did you not? Like, when you drop a comment, that's when it starts to get somewhere. And when you start using those emotions, that's where it starts to come into play as well. So this is huge.
Okay, so let's do a negative.
Yep, let me go ahead and get down there. Perfect.
Okay, so Ed launched a course and no one showed up. I could just hit the like button. But then that's the same reaction that I gave to his happy post. So here's where I think likes are good at. Likes are good if I'm on the run and there's a bunch of posts that need to be touched in the group. Yeah. So I will on my phone like, and then I'm done. Or if it's a controversial post where I don't want to really I'm not for that, I'm not against that, you can hit the like button. Those are the two cases where I use them. Other than that, I'll just hold my button there and give it this a little tiny extra step. And I'll let him know, I'm sad. I literally mirrored your sad faces right here.
Yep.
And then down here, I'm going to look for a sad GIF. And so I love GIFs because they can say anything and everything. Right. So I'm going to send you this little baby. And so it's going to make you, I'm mirroring you being sad, but then at the same time, I'm going to try to make you feel better because this baby's so cute. And then it's like, aw, Ed. Aw. And then on those, I might drop down here and say, okay, Ed, back to the drawing board. What do we need to change for next round? turn the emotion around inside of a post.
Yep.
So you can show up and lick your wounds, but I'm going to turn around and be like, aw, Ed, sad baby. Okay, what are we going to do different?
Yep.
So that's how you can, it's so easy to play with emotions inside groups.
And I'm going to bring you back on screen here. And that's the beauty of it, you guys, is it's that simple of just going one little extra step. And it doesn't even take that long. It's a few seconds more. Yeah. And it's just changing your mindset, though, and realizing that you're going to go with intention and start that conversation. That's really what it is. And I'm glad that you brought up the like point because, again, there's a time and a place for likes. You'll see me do it, especially on these comments. After the broadcast, I always go back through and I try to reply to every single one. Some, maybe I'll just do a like. Or just a love, or a happy face, you know.
Sorry, I want to interrupt you on
please.
that. If people are taking the time to comment on your post, you at least are obligated to hit the like button.
Yeah.
But I always say at a minimum, you need to respond back because, like right now, people really sat through an hour of your show.
Right.
And then you're going to turn around and ignore those people. Facebook's not playing that game anymore.
Yep.
It's just not. I mean. If you think about it, and here's the big picture of it. Everybody has a microphone on Facebook, right?
Yep.
But not everybody needs to have their volume turned up to a 10. Some people need their volume turned down because they're putting junk out there.
Love it. Yeah. And that's a big one, you guys. We're almost out of time, but that's a big one of really focusing and just spending the time. And I'm not going to lie, it's a lot of work. I mean, we do this show for an hour, which I love. But then you have your prep time prior, which can be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. Then you also have your time afterwards, which is what I call the after party, where I go into the comments and I get to engage with you guys. I'm going to have Joanna also jump in the comments, share her links to her Facebook page and to her group if she wants. And she'll be commenting with you guys. Like, that is what we're talking about. And when you start doing that with your page, your profile, your groups, whatever, that's when you start seeing the magic happen. That's when you start creating an experience. And that's when people start coming back to you. And that's when you start seeing your numbers go up. And people are going to start seeing your posts more. And then you don't have to worry about that. So don't worry. You got this. Any other last pieces of advice before I let you go?
No, I mean, the last time we talked, we were eating chicken and waffles, and now you're like running a TV show.
It's true, you guys. We did have chicken and waffles a while back down in Petaluma, which is in an area close to me, and I was actually interviewing Joanna for my Yes to Entrepreneurship podcast, which is kind of what led up to this point. It's one of those things. You test it, you try it, you run with it, and you see where it takes you. And this is where we're at, live.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to let you go, and whenever you have time, jump into the after party, and then I'm going to connect with you guys here, just me, as I switch the screen back over. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ed.
Take care.
Bye.
Bear with me, guys, while I turn that off. There we go. So that's what I'm talking about. That is what we do on this show. We have the conversations that are worth having. And I want you, even if you're watching the replay, continue to check in the comments. Go to the after party. Hang out. Even if it's just one comment that you leave saying that you're here, that's okay. It's better than nothing because that's a start. So really pay attention to that. And not just with my page, with anybody's page, with anybody's posts, whatever videos you're watching. Like, all of that stuff matters, and the more you practice that, the easier it gets. Obviously, like we talk about, we know that saying, right? But I really want to make sure that you keep motivated, and that's what I'm here to do. And I'm so glad that you guys are here and hanging out with me each day, even if you're watching the replay. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our outro, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. This episode is sponsored by Stupid Easy. Easily create, share, and sell your online courses. Discover more at stupideasy.com.